Hello, BookTube. Today I have shelf 5 of my science fiction and fantasy library. So, the first two books are the first two volumes in the Thomas Covenant the Unbeliever series. This is Lord Fowlsbane, which I picked up on Amazon when Steve Donahue, Mark Richardson, I think Lukash, Totally Pretentious, and one or two others, booktubers, were going to do a read along of the first two trilogies of the Thomas Covenant the Unbeliever series. And I have Lord Fowlsbane and the second book, The Ill Earth War. This is the first one I picked up. I got it in May. Yeah, late May with the Friends at the Library mini book sale, which is um, the book sale they have in late May, early June, and it's at the Westvaco Library and Genealogy Center in the conference room that's at the front of the building. I can't say I particularly cared for these books. Thomas Covenant is a nasty piece of work, and yeah, just I don't think I was very fond of either one of them, and I haven't continued with the series, although I will come back to it eventually. Next, I have Amberlow by Lara Elena Donnelly. This is a diesel punk novel set in basically a sort of fantasy Berlin, Pan Germany, where the capital, or one of the capitals, Amberlow, is very reminiscent of sort of late 20s, early 30s Berlin, Weimar Berlin. There's a growing fascist or fascist equivalent political movement going on in the country that the setting takes place in, that eventually takes over the government and pretty much immediately becomes tyrannical. And so the story follows a spy. It's been a while since I've read it. Cyril DePaul, his boyfriend, Target Aristide, who's a nightclub MC and drug smuggler, and a cabaret dancer, Cordelia. And it's basically them trying to deal with the situation as it unfolds. I really like the first part. If the novel had stuck with just the demimonde of Amberlow society, the nightclub culture, the cabaret culture, I think the novel would have been a lot better. But the political thriller, the spy thriller part, Cyril DePaul's, the bulk of his story is probably one of the worst spy novels I've ever read. It's like, yeah, you're incompetent, and so are the the fascist villains. It's just like, ugh. Yeah, I mean, I am going to go back to it though eventually, and I kind of want to collect the other two volumes in the series, although annoyingly they're all in paperback, so, and I don't want to get like a paperback version of Amberlow to complete this set. So, but anyway, I'm going to give it another go. Hopefully I will like it more on a second rereading or a second reading. Anyway, next we have The Prey of Gods by Nicky Drayden. This is a near future South Africa novel where I mean, there's personal robots. There's some kind of interesting drug that makes you hyper hallucinate. And there are random magical beings running around. I like it, but I think it kind of loses something as it goes along. But it has been a year or two since I've read it, and I really should give this another read. And then I have The Door into Fire by Diane Duane. So next we have Vellum by Hal Duncan, the first novel in the Book of All Hours. I think, if I remember, it's been a while since I've read it. This is a retelling of Inanna's descent into the underworld, or in part. It's been a while since I've read it. Hal Duncan is fairly prominent. Well, maybe not quite prominent in the early 2000s, 2010s, but I don't know if he's still writing or if he's fallen off the radar. I really need to look into that. And next I have The Forgetting Moon, the first book in the Five Warrior Angels series, written by Brian Lee Durfee. This was on my Amazon wishlist for a while, and I eventually picked it up used through Alibris. This is a former library book, and it comes from Baltimore County Public Library. Next, I have the first two volumes in the band series by Nicholas Eames. This is Kings of the Wild, this is a fantastic novel. Basically the conceit of this world is that mercenary bands are rock stars, and so there's a stronger kind of playing on that, where you have the leader, sort of like the lead singer. There's one who would basically, the parts of a musical band basically fit into a mercenary band. And so in this book, the members of Saga, I think is what it's called. Yeah, this group's Saga. They have gone their separate ways over 10 or 20 years, and they're called back together by their former leader, Golden Gabe, to travel to the distant city of Cassia to rescue his daughter, who's become a mercenary, from a horde of monsters called the Heartwild Horde. And it is pretty fantastic. The second book in the series is Bloody Rose, which basically follows the daughter as the lead protagonist, Golden Gabe's daughter, Bloody Rose. This is a few years later. There's another monster horde coming, and instead of joining the other mercenaries to fight this horde, she takes her band on tour to the northern parts of this world, where there's a contract waiting for them. Unfortunately, whether she wants to or not, that she will be drawn into the conflict with the coming monster horde. I didn't particularly care for Bloody Rose as much as I did Kings of the Wild. I thought the first 150 pages, I thought probably could have been cut down significantly or sped up. But once they got to the contract, that last gig, the novel really picked up pace. It's just that bit of getting on with it that I thought was a bit problematic, or I took issue with. And yeah, I think that's mainly my main problem. Next, I have some David Eddings books. This is the Ruby Knight, book 2 in the Elenium series. I used to have the complete Elenium a decade ago when I was in high school, and rather enjoyed the series. I got rid of them, and I saw this at a Friends of the Library book sale alcove, so I picked it up, and I'm looking to get the rest of the series again. So I need the Diamond Throne and the Sapphire Rose eventually. Oh wait, no, I have the Sapphire Rose. Ooh. So I have the Sapphire Rose. So I just need the Diamond Throne to complete the Elenium series. I quite enjoyed them. I am tempted to pick up the Omnibus edition, or I probably should just go ahead and pick up Diamond Throne since I've got these two already. Would make a little bit more sense. And I have... That's going to fall. Domes of Fire, the first book of the Tamuli trilogy, which is the sequel to the Elenium trilogy. Again, I used to have the whole collection, whole series, and got rid of it. And I would like to recollect this series too. I quite enjoyed the Sparhawk novels by David Eddings, although it has been over 10 years since I've read them. Next, we have The Last Sun by Katie Edwards, which I really enjoy it, but it also annoys me to no end. And I will, after I finish this video, I will talk about this novel in some more detail in a separate review video. Let's set that aside. Next, we have Phyllis Eisenstein's Sorcerer's Son, which is a picked up from Alibris. I want to say Better World Books. And finally, I've got a few more. And then I have The Never Ending Story by Michael Ende. I picked this up from Golden's Book Exchange. The Never Ending Story has been one of those books that I've been somewhat obsessed with. I don't know if it's necessarily watching the film adaptations, the 1980s The Never Ending Story, and then the early 90s The Never Ending Story Part 2, but this has always been a bit of a book I've wanted to have in my collection, and I eventually picked it up from Golden's. I found an edition of this at Golden's. Now I just need to finally break out and buy the Phantom Toll Booth. Excuse me, because I love that book too. Finally, we have 4 books in the Malazan Book of the Fallen series. Gardens of the Moon, Memories of Ice, House of Chains, and Tulip the Hounds. And I have one more that will start off the next leg of the book tour. So that's all of Shelf 5. I will come back Monday with Shelf 6. Until then, expect my Last Sun video to be the next video I film. Thank you, BookTube.